Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. If you cast your mind back a year, you'll remember a fight between Tszyu and SEBASTIAN Fundora, which was an absolute bloodbath. Tszyu suffered a horrendous cut on the top of his scalp. God knows how he was allowed to continue. Surely they should have gone to the scorecards, but they didn't. Referee let it carry on. There was blood flying everywhere. And SEBASTIAN Fundora, his opponent, also suffered, I think, a broken nose and a cut inside the mouth. He was swallowing blood. I mean, he was going through the mill as well. If you've ever swallowed blood, you'll know that immediately you feel nauseous, you feel sick. But they both provided this, sort of X-rated spectacle that resulted in the late substitute, which was Fundora, giving Tszyu his first defeat on a split decision. And this was surprising to a lot of people because Tszyu was much fancied to win this fight. He was supposedly one of the great, stars of the super-welterweight division. And also, Fundora was coming off a very bad defeat. In fact, it's his only defeat to date, and that was to Brian Mendoza when he got knocked out in 7 rounds. And that was March, April of 2023. So he was coming off a bad defeat, a knockout defeat. He'd been inactive for almost a year, and he still managed to spring the upset against Tszyu. How did that happen? Well, SEBASTIAN Fundora, if you've ever seen him fight before, you've probably been adjusting your TV screen thinking, God, what's going on here? There's something wrong with it. Because Fundora is a nigh on 6'6", I think he's 6'5.5", super welterweight. And he's, just to add insult to injury, if you're the opponent, he's a southpaw as well. He got an 80-inch reach. He doesn't hit particularly hard with one punch, but just getting near the guy, I mean, it can be just about impossible. And yet, Fundora likes to fight small. He did against Tszyu, actually. And he certainly did against Brian Mendoza when he got knocked out. That's what got him knocked out. He tends not to use those incredibly long levers that make him look like a collection of limbs tied together in the middle, like a gigantic praying mantis. He tends to likes to fight small. Even fights on the inside. It's quite remarkable. He's a very curious specimen. I think they grew him in a laboratory. And then you see his sister, Gabrielle Fundora, who is the current undisputed flyweight champ in the women's game, and she's about 5'8". For a woman of 8 stone, that's very, very tall. So they seem to, the whole family seems to have fallen asleep in a greenhouse, But anyway, he got the win over Tszyu, and since then he hasn't made any defences. There was talk of Fundora rematching Tszyu. There wasn't a rematch for that fight. I don't know why they didn't put a rematch clause in, but they didn't. Of all the fights that you would think would need a rematch clause, an 11th hour fight against a 6'6" super welterweight, you'd think, we better add a rematch clause in there, but they didn't. Then there was talk of Fundora fighting a comeback in Errol Spence in his first fight since being smashed up by Terence Crawford. Well, he hasn't fought at all since then. Nearly 2 years out now, isn't it? So instead, Fundora makes the maiden defence of his WBC and WBO titles against Chordale Booker, an American opponent who is 23 wins with 11 KOs and 1 defeat. He's 33 years old. He's a southpaw too. And the one defeat came to Austin Williams back in 2022. I think it's about 3 years ago to the month almost. And that was a bad one. I say it was bad. It was a first round knockout. He got knocked flat in one round in about 2.5 minutes. It was towards the end of the round anyway. It's the old joke about Williams having to come from behind to win, But yeah, he got knocked out in the first round. And, I say it's a bit, on paper it looks like an awful result because Booker was pretty much, taken out. I mean, he was knocked down, knocked into the ropes. And Williams at the time looked the part. Williams was undefeated at the time in 10 fights, and he really looked good in that fight. Very, very incredibly sharp and fast. But you have to say, if you want to take any kind of positives from it, you could, number one, you could say, well, that can happen to anyone. You just get tagged early in the fight, and that's it. It's all over. Okay. It's not like you've been outboxed. I mean, that would be the second point I'd make, is he wasn't outboxed. He wasn't broken down. He wasn't beaten up as well as being beaten. He just got tagged early and knocked out. Now, since that bad defeat, Booker has had 6 fights and won them all. And he hasn't faced anyone sort of even, I would say, even approaching world class. He's faced a couple of guys who, with, we're winning records, 27 wins, 6 defeats, that sort of thing, 23 wins, 5 defeats, maybe a couple of draws thrown in there. But he hasn't really battered his way to the top of the division, after that bad defeat. What he has done is stayed, relatively busy. He had 3 fights in 2023, he had 2 in 2024. And this is a good sort of voluntary defence, which no doubt Fundora's people are thinking, okay, this guy's got a good statistical record, 23-1. And this is a pretty safe, he's 33, he's no spring chicken by super welterweight standards. And our guy, SEBASTIAN FUNDORA, he's 27 now, so he's probably physically coming into his prime, although when you're that freakishly built, God knows what your prime is. And they're probably thinking, Fundora's people are probably thinking, yeah, this would be a good little voluntary defence, no problem, So how's it going to go? Well, Fundora, like I said, Fundora likes to fight small. And he likes to, even, like I say, amazingly, he even fights on the inside. He can use his jab. He's got a pretty good jab. I mean, you saw it against Tszyu. He was jabbing well, but he's got this habit of being sucked into a firefight. And he, against Booker, who is much, much shorter. I mean, I think he's listed as 5'9", I think, on BoxRec. So that makes him, about 9 inches shorter. Plus the fact that Booker has been knocked out. I think what you'll probably see is Fundora beginning with the southpaw jab against another southpaw. They do say, jab with the jabber, don't hook with the hooker. Fundora does have some good hooks. Both hands he hooks quite well. He hooks off the jab quite well, from what I remember of his fights. If you look at Fundora's previous fights, he did, again, another fight he got dragged into was one with Erickson Lubin back in 2022. And he had Lubin on the ground early, I think round 2. And then in the 7th round, he himself was knocked down. And it was quite a heavy knockdown. I remember it was a combination. It was like a left, right. And then suddenly Fundora was down. That might have been the first time he's been on the floor in his whole career. But that was because he was fighting small again and giving Lubin a chance to win. Well, Lubin's face was a bloody mess, like chopped meat. And he ended up retiring after 9 rounds. And then, of course, 2 fights later, Fundora came a cropper with the same sort of tactics against Mendoza. So what he doesn't want to do is too much of fighting small with Booker. Having said that, Booker's only got 11 KOs in 23 wins. So he doesn't hit particularly hard with one punch, or his record would suggest, but you don't want to go hanging your chin out. And I think Fundora will be best served softening up Booker in the first 5 rounds. Obviously, this is a 12-rounder. It's for two of the world belts, and then in the middle rounds, once he's jabbed Booker to death and maybe fired some backhand, some straight lefts and left crosses, softened up Booker, gone to the body, then I think he's better. Then getting a bit more involved from rounds 5 onwards. Now, from Booker's point of view, again, he doesn't appear to have one punch KO power, but with someone who's that tall, there's only one thing you've got to do, and that's go to the body. I mean, just whack those hooks into the body. And of course, getting in close is going to be very difficult. Again, jab with a jabber, make the guy with the long arms at least think there might be something coming back at me. For Booker, I would say keep a very high guard. Fundora, of course, you can go at the body even if you're much, much taller than your opponent. But Fundora is probably going to be looking for headshots. Lots of bobbing and weaving from Booker. Make yourself an even smaller opponent and speed your feet up. And the moment you get in close, go for the body. Forget Fundora's even got a head. You know what I mean? Just the old kill the body and the head will fall line applies, I think, for Booker. But if I have to pick a winner, like I say, I think in the middle rounds, Fundora will probably take over, start beating up Booker. Booker might get frustrated that he can't get in close, and when he does try to get in, quicken his feet up, he gets tagged. The 1 round blowout to Austin Williams may well be a sort of aberration, so I wouldn't read too much into that. But I do see Fundora eventually, if he stays disciplined and he doesn't get involved too early, taking over in the middle rounds and then maybe stopping Booker in about 9 rounds, I would say. So that's my, I don't know whether you agree with me, but that's my prediction. I can't say that on the occasions I've seen Booker, I've been overly impressed, but he's not bad. He does the basics well. I just think Fundora, again, not a one-punch hitter, but so tall, so rangy, very adaptable, fires lots of nice variety of punches, Fundora. He is technically very, very good, and he's got far better wins on his record than Booker has. So I'm going for Fundora to win in about 8 rounds. What do you think? Leave your comments below and let me know who you think will win and why you think they'll win, how they'll win. Go on, I dare you. Give me a round prediction. Go on. If I've given one, we all have to give one. Anyway, if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe. That would be brilliant. And also hit the like button as well. I appreciate that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's my spiel. I'm out now. I'll catch you later. Bye for now.